Imagine pulling into your driveway after a long day, only to find a smug stranger in a pastel power suit measuring your grass with a ruler, declaring war on your freedom in the name of community standards. That's how it started for me. Alex Rivera, a 38-year-old software engineer who'd escaped the city rat race for a quiet bungalow on the edge of Willow Creek Estates, a supposedly idyllic American suburb where the air smelled like fresh-cut lawns and hidden resentments. I bought the place 2 years ago, deliberately outside the HOA's ironclad boundaries. No mandatory beige siding. No fines for unapproved flower pots. No meddling overlords. Or so I thought. The neighborhood looked picture-perfect: white picket fences, kids on bikes, block parties with apple pie. But underneath, a pressure cooker of petty rules enforced by Barbara "Barb" Hargrove, the HOA president who'd turned maintaining property values into a personal crusade. Barb was in her mid-50s, with a helmet of perfectly coiffed blonde hair, pearls that screamed "I'm better than you," and a smile that could curdle milk. She spoke in that saccharine tone. All bless your heart while plotting your downfall. I'd heard whispers: neighbors fined for holiday lights a day too long, or cars parked an inch over the curb, but I kept my head down. Until she targeted me. It began innocently enough. Or so it seemed. One crisp autumn evening, I flipped on my new solar-powered garden lights, soft LEDs that lit the path to my door without blinding anyone. Practical. Eco-friendly. Zero drama. The next morning, a pink envelope was taped to my mailbox like a passive-aggressive love note. Dear adjacent resident, it read in flowery script. Your illumination devices are in violation of Willow Creek's ambient light ordinance. They disrupt our community's serene night sky. Please remove immediately or face escalation. Signed, Barbara Hargrove, HOA President. I chuckled at first. Adjacent? My house was a full block from their gated enclave, separated by a public park. I tossed the letter in the recycling and went about my day. But Barb wasn't one to be ignored. That afternoon, her silver Lexus purred up to my curb. She stepped out in kitten heels, clipboard in hand, lips pursed like she'd sucked a lemon. Mr. Rivera, she called, waving like we were old pals. I see you haven't addressed the issue. I paused midway through raking leaves, forcing a polite nod. Barb, right? Look, I'm not in Willow Creek. Those lights are on my property. She tilted her head, that fake concern etched on her face. Oh, honey, we're all in this together. The ordinance extends to visual nuisances within line of sight. It's for the greater good, think of the stars. I bit back a laugh. The stars? This is suburbia, not the Grand Canyon. And legally, you have zero say here. Her eyes narrowed, but the smile held. We'll see about that. Non-compliance isn't neighborly. She clicked away, leaving me with a knot in my gut. Little did I know, she'd already started whispering to the neighbors, that new guy's lights are like a Vegas strip, probably hiding something shady. The rumors spread like wildfire on the neighborhood app. Alex's yard is an eyesore, one post said. Bet he's not even maintaining his septic, health hazard. I saw it all but stayed silent, screenshotting everything. I'd dealt with bullies before, rushing and hot-headed just fed their ego. Instead, I quietly pulled my property deed and surveyed the maps from the county website. Crystal clear, my lot was unincorporated, free from HOA tyranny. But Barb escalated. A week later, 2 volunteers from the HOA's aesthetics committee showed up at my door, a retired accountant named Ted and a yoga mom called Sheila, both in matching polo shirts emblazoned with the Willow Creek crest. A stylized willow tree that looked more like a noose. "Hi there," Sheila chirped. Too brightly. "We're here for a courtesy inspection." Ted adjusted his glasses, scanning my yard like it was a crime scene. I blocked the doorway, arms crossed. "Courtesy for what? This isn't your turf." Sheila's smile faltered. "Per our expanded charter, bordering properties fall under advisory oversight. Your lights are causing complaints, migraines." "Even?" I raised an eyebrow. "Migraines from 200 feet away? That's a stretch." "And who's complaining?" Ted cleared his throat. "Anonymous. For privacy." "But Barb says it's unanimous." "Unanimous bullshit," I thought, but said. "Tell Barb to send it in writing. Now. If you'll excuse me." I shut the door gently, heart pounding. That night, I installed a Ring camera, capturing their retreat and Sheila muttering, "He's so uncooperative, probably one of those antisocial types." The next day, the real fun began. A certified letter arrived from the HOA's legal department, which turned out to be Barb's brother-in-law, a strip mall lawyer. It threatened a visual easement petition to the county, claiming my lights constituted environmental harassment. I almost framed it for the absurdity. Environmental harassment? I muttered to myself. From solar lights? But the me in my hit hard. Here was Barb, preaching green living while driving a gas guzzler, now weaponizing ecobabble against me. I didn't respond directly. Instead, I filed a public records request for all HOA minutes mentioning expanded jurisdiction. Silence from them. But I knew it rattled her. Whispers turned to outright smears. Group chats buzzed with "Alex is hostile, maybe he's dealing drugs under those lights." I endured it, documenting every ping on my phone, feeling the slow burn of injustice mixed with dark amusement at their desperation. Barb's fear of losing control was palpable. She'd held the presidency for a decade, turning it into her fiefdom. Elections were a joke, opponents mysteriously dropped out after friendly chats. But I played the long game. One evening, as I sipped coffee on my porch, watching the lights twinkle harmlessly, a sheriff's deputy pulled up. My stomach flipped. "Evening, sir," he said, hat in hand. "Got a report of light pollution obstructing traffic." I invited him in. Showed the deed. "Officer, this is a public street, and I'm not in the HOA." He nodded, glancing at the complaint form. Signed by Barbara Hargrove. Says it's a safety issue. We both shared a knowing look. Safety from what? Fireflies? He chuckled. "I'll note it's unfounded." As he left, I overheard him radioing another HOA wild goose chase. That unfounded stamp must have stung Barb, because the Leo Tang hit ludicrous levels. 2 days later, a utility van rolled up, fake, as it turned out, with magnetic HOA signs slapped on. "We're inspecting for power line interference," the driver barked. I recorded from my window. "Interference from my solar lights? That's rich." He grumbled about orders from above before peeling out. The dark humor kicked in. Barb, queen of order, resorting to cosplay inspectors. But it crossed into dangerous territory when I found a condemnation notice taped to my fence, forged county letterhead claiming my yard was a blight zone. I laughed bitterly. The blight was my wildflower bed, which she'd called unkempt in her manifesto. Time to counterpunch. I contacted a friend, Lena Torres, a sharp real estate attorney who'd battled HOAs before. "This is gold," she said over Zoom, eyes gleaming. "Falsified docs? We'll bury her." while Lena prepped a harassment suit. I ramped up defenses, no trespass signs. Motion sensors that blared private property, smile. You're on camera. The first test came at midnight, a shadowy figure, later ID'd as Ted, creeping near my fence with wire cutters. Lights flashed. Siren wailed, he bolted like a startled deer. Dropping his clipboard. Video gold. I submitted it to the sheriff. Whose side? HOA again? We'll handle it. Barb's facade cracked publicly at the next community barbecue, mandatory for Willow Creek residents. But I crashed as an adjacent observer. She spotted me. Her polite mask slipping into a glare. Mr. Rivera. Enjoying the festivities, she cooed. But her voice dripped venom. Just observing democracy in action, I replied mildly. Heard about the fake notices, creative. Whispers rippled, neighbors shifted uncomfortably. Everything's above board, she snapped. Too loud. For the community's sake. A nearby dad muttered. Yeah. You're sake. The air thickened with unspoken rebellion. The pressure built like a storm. Barb doubled down. Petitioning the county for annexation of my lot under a bogus buffer zone clause. To protect values, the filing read. I countered with Lena's motion, evidence of forgery. Harassment logs. Video of the fence tamper. The hearing was set. Meanwhile, rumors boomeranged, now I was the hero fighting the witch, per the app. Barb's emails to board members leaked, thanks. Anonymous tip neutralize Rivera before he infects others. Infects? Like freedom was a virus. The irony was deliciously bitter. Chow Treo erupted in the county courtroom. A bland room packed with Willow Creek busybodies. Barb sat ramrod straight. Attorneys flanking her like bodyguards. Lena presented first, timelines. Forgeries. Videos. This isn't governance, it's extortion, she declared. Barb's lawyer blustered about community rights, but the judge. A no-nonsense vet named Harlan. Cut in, rights don't include lying to authorities. Barb took the stand. Voice quivering with feigned righteousness. I acted for the greater good. His lights. They're disruptive. Harlan leaned forward. Disruptive how? Be specific. She stammered. They offend the aesthetic. Laughter rippled, even her board squirmed. Then Lena dropped the bomb, affidavits from flipped members admitting Barb's annexation scheme was to flip properties for a developer pal. Pocketing kickbacks. Barb's face crumpled, smugness to shock. Then panic. That's slander, she yelped. Harlan banged the gavel. Evidence says otherwise. HOA suspended, investigation opened. The room buzzed, neighbors gasped. Barb stormed out. Muttering. This isn't over. But it was. The DA charged her with fraud. Conspiracy. Misuse of funds, turns out she'd siphoned fines into a personal reserve. 2 board members testified against her. Exposing years of bullying, fake fines on widows. Threats to families. The HOA crumbled, a court receiver took over. Refunding victims. In the aftermath, peace returned to my bungalow. Neighbors apologized. Some even ditched Willow Creek for freer pastures. I upgraded my lights, just because, and hosted a no-rules barbecue. Where laughter echoed without fear. Barb faced trial. Her empire reduced to a plea deal and community service, ironically. Picking up litter in the park she claimed to protect. The satisfaction was profound, watching her unmask. From tyrant to tantrum thrower. Deliver that high rush. But here's the question, in a world where community often masks control freaks. Was I the villain for refusing to bend? Or was Barb the real disruptor by twisting rules into weapons? You tell me, who's truly guilty of shattering the peace?